Okay, NXT. And I'm like, tell me what you think below. What exactly are you getting right now from NXT? Because when you look at the build that's going into Stand and Deliver, almost half of it feels forced and rushed. Legitimately, the ending of the show feels rushed. What the blue fuck is going on? Why are they doing things so quickly before Stand and Deliver? I do not understand. This makes no freaking sense. And if anybody says below, let it wait and see. No, this is not wait and see. This is not wait and see. They've had time to book these things. And the way it looks like it's been booked, it feels forced and rushed. Like someone else made the decision and they are forced to make it get done now. It does not feel like it's set up for Stand and Deliver at all. Some things look like they've been built. Some things look like they're being set up. But legitimately, the majority of this show feels forced. Forced to rush things. Forced to put people in positions they're not meant to be put in yet. Because they just want to do it because they're popular. And it's wrong. Let's open. Let's go with... I'm not going to do Stephanie Vickier yet. I want to go through these matches, which are only 4. It's only 4. This won't take that long. The first match, which is technically, I have to do it. Look, I know now I got to do it. I don't want to do it when it comes to Stephanie Vickier, but I'm just going to mention it, and I'll elaborate later. Stephanie gives up her title, the North American title. And you're going to hear me rant on that, because I said it. It made no sense, and I'll explain. But now there's going to be a 6-woman ladder match for the newly vacated North American Championship. We get the, did you actually believe Lash Legend was going to beat Zarya? Did you actually believe that? Now look, Lash is been built pretty well. She's not perfect yet. I don't even mean perfect that she's the best of the best. I just mean well built enough that if she goes to the main roster right now, she would have decent ring skill, good talking. She has a good look, taking away how big her boobs and ass are. She has a decent look when she's wearing regular clothes, wearing dressed up clothes when she goes and use her ring attire. She can hold a character, even if it's not perfect yet. At least well enough, perfect and well enough that you could actually believe it. She is all around okay. She could be better, and they need her to be better. But when you look at this situation, I knew instantly when they put Zarya up against Lash, Lash was not going to win. There was no way Lash was going to win. There was no way. Now, was the match alright? Yeah, the match was pretty good for Zarya. And it showed that Lash can sometimes sell pretty good, but also needs some work because she didn't sell exactly well for Zarya. But Zarya, since she's been in the independents and she has worked different styles of wrestling, she can at least, when it's time to sell, can sell. When it's time to beat the crap out of somebody, she can do it. When it comes to her storytelling with someone, how can I say this? Like I said, the match was not bad, but we are dealing with a Zarya who knows how to at least work a match because she worked the independents, compared to Lash, who's only knows the performance center style of wrestling. That's all she knows. She has not really worked TNA yet. And I do believe if they let her go there more often, if they let a Lash Legends work in TNA for a little while, do more than just 1 or 2 matches as a tag team specialist, because she's better as a singles, she could improve quite well because the women over in TNA could really help her. But when it comes to Performance Center, she just does Performance Center wrestling. But I can tell you this, I did not believe she was going to win, and she did not. So Zarya wins that match. Next, we get the second qualifying match, Kiana Jordan versus Roxanne Perez. Now, this one I did not know who was going to win because they had developed a Keanu Jordan to be more of someone who's jaded and pissed off and all that kind of crap. And then you have a prodigy who legitimately should have already gone to the main roster last year. When you look at a Roxanne Perez, she's ready for the main roster. Do I believe she'll do great on the main roster? It depends if they're going to book her. Let's be honest. She is actually well enough built. Now, let's put it like this. Compared to what she was in Raw, reality wrestling, when I first saw her over 10 years ago. Nearly 10 years. Now, when I last saw her. When I first saw her was what, 2000? No, 8 years ago. 8. I take that back. 8 years ago. Because when I saw her, she was still Roxy. And she was still doing Pop Rocks. And she was still very young. Compared to that Roxanne, to this Roxanne, she's very well developed. She's a lot more confident. She has a better look, a better feel. She feels like a main eventer now. She just does. She's earned it. She worked her ass off and she earned it. You can't believe if she went to the main roster, she would do pretty well if they booked her correctly. So seeing these two here, I didn't know if they're going to put her into the match or not. When you see the match, it looked like Roxanne was going to win it, but they threw Kiani on it. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Now that Roxanne did not win, what do you do with Roxanne Perez now? Because we are now coming up to Stand and Deliver within, 3 weeks? You got to do something with her. Or are they just taking her out of it, so when Stand and Deliver is done, they reset Roxanne to maybe a face, which I don't think she should be a face. She's way better as a heel. If they just do that and reset her as a face, or maybe they put her onto the main roster after WrestleMania, that would make sense why she shouldn't be in any storylines, but this is how it feels. Next. Let me give it to you like this when Hank and Tank versus the No Quarter Catch Crew. I don't get it. You're not doing anything very important with Hank and Tank. Not at all. Then you decide to put them with the Motor City Machine Guns. Now you just showed them Pretty Deadly, wearing something Pretty Deadly would have. And I'm like, what are they doing here? Didn't Hank and Tank already have a character already? That they're goofballs, that just super energetic and super stupid. That's their character. Look, Hank and Tank are comedic wrestlers. There's no way to get away from it. They're comedic wrestlers. Putting in with Motor City Machine Guns and Pretty Deadly, it goes back and forth. That is what they work. But the question now is, what are they doing with them? Yeah, they just lost again. They lost with the Motor City Machine Guns, trying to emulate them. Then they tried to emulate Pretty Deadly, and then they got pissed off when they threw off the shirts. And then they got their asses handed to them by No Quarter Catch Crew. And I'm like, and then they saw the tag champions who were trying to tell them, you ain't nothing. But then one of the tag champs says, I wish we had their friendship. And that's Axiom to Frazier. And I will get to Swipe Right in a minute. I will get to them. But it's like Hank and Tank need something. That's what they're doing here. They need to be something. And legitimately, they didn't need to do that. Because the way Hank and Tank is, they're the replacements for Chase U. They were developed alongside Chase U at one point. Chase U is no more. Now they're taking the place of Chase U as comedic wrestlers, as jokes, or can, when it's time, be serious. So I don't know what they're doing. Now let's get to Swipe Right. Why not get there? I have not seen Evolve. I've not seen it, and I'm not going to see it. This is not something I'm going to care about right now. But they decided that two guys there, Swipe Right, have been developed enough now that they could be thrown on NXT TV against Axiom and Frazier. I'm like, really? You're letting the ones who are supposedly the top of Evolve just get a shot, or not even talk about this if it's a title match. I'm guessing non-title. But a shot at the champs, even if it's non-title. Really? And that little banter they had about talking about Roxanne being smoking hot and stuff. honestly, I'm not feeling it. You know why? We haven't seen anything of them yet. Why would you throw Swipe Right onto the NXT roster for one match instead of just giving them at least 1 week or two just to be seen on NXT first and then give them a chance to get that shot? Why are you doing it 3 weeks before Stand and Deliver? Why? What is the strategy here? Because as far as I can tell, this strategy makes no sense. I would rather see a little bit of development of Swipe Right to see, okay, these guys are coming from another part of TKO WWE. They just implemented it. It's been, what, a couple of months? Like a month or two, I think, already when it comes to Evolve. I'm not even sure if it's been a month. It's been, what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or a month already? You guys can tell me below how long it's been, like 2 months almost, or a month and a half. And they're already now getting a shot to face the champs, even if it's non-title, where we don't even get a chance to see them on NXT TV for a week, maybe 2 at the most, at least to show themselves, to be in front of Ava, because since one of Ava's assistants, I don't even remember her name, because I never really noticed her when she's with Mr. Stone. Because even though we get them periodically, now she's the general manager of Evolve. And I'm like, I'm not feeling it. This feels forced. It's like they feel like before Stand and Deliver, you need to do this. And it makes no sense. Moving on. We get Shawn Spears versus a Ricky Starks. I'm not going to answer what I feel about Ricky Starks winning the North American Championship. I will talk about that after I talk about what happened in the back and what they showed in their storylines as well as their segments. But Ricky Starks wins the title. He wins it from Shawn Spears, who is the head of the culling. So let's get to the real meat of this episode of NXT, what was going on in the back. Now, I already spoke about most of like what happened with Ava talking to, I forgot her name, who she is, who's now working Evolve as the general manager there. I don't know who she is. I forget her name. You guys can tell me her name because I forget. I recognize Mr. Stone because he was developed, okay? He had been developed. I recognize Mrs. Stone. Her, I've never seen her much, and she had barely any development, and then they just stick her on Evolve. Why didn't you put Mr. Stone on Evolve? He had been developed. He had been in storylines. That made better sense than leave him from being on Evolve. At least I could feel Mr. Stone on Evolve because he had worked with Von Wagner. I almost forgot his name. It's been so long. Sorry. At least with Von Wagner, I recognize Mr. Stone. I know Mr. Stone could be a good character. I'd rather see him as the leader of Evolve, the general manager of Evolve. That would have made more sense. But her, when she's got almost no development other than begging for a chance to get a title when it was time for, what was it? When did she was trying to get into the Iron Survivor Challenge, I believe. You guys can tell me below. But that's it. She's done nothing. Mr. Stone has done something. At least he was developed. Now, taking away from that, seeing about Evolve, I don't feel it. It's dumb. Now, opening of the show, when you see Stephanie Fakir with Ava with 3 weeks left, 3 fucking weeks left, 3 weeks left before Stand and Deliver, you hear her say, well, me and Stephanie have talked, and this title needs to be defended consistently. And it's unfair that it's being done like this. So she's relinquishing the title, and they're doing a 6-woman ladder match. Ugh! Stand and Deliver, 6-woman ladder match. You had time. You found out that Julia was injured. And the only thing you had to do, and it's just one thing they needed to do a tournament. All the storylines could have still gone on the way they are, but you could have done a tournament. Now you got to rush within the next 3 weeks, You just did 2 matches. Now you got to do 6 matches so you can get 6 women to do a damn ladder match that didn't need a ladder match. This was stupid. They rushed this. It's like someone told them, hey, Stephanie, she needs to become champion of both titles because Julia's hurt. And someone said, wait a minute, wouldn't it be better to do like a tournament or something to try? No, throw it on Stephanie. Let her defend it. Oh, after now defending it once as a double champion and gave her the chance to be recognized as the only person in history to hold 2 titles and in one night managed to keep them both. They said, well, we're done. We don't need to do that anymore. We let Stephanie have it. Let her just relinquish it, which makes no fucking sense. If Alex, who's supposedly watching this, and JD, who's supposedly watching this, say this was perfect, this was dumb. I respect both of them. They have more connections to me in wrestling. They have more knowledge to me in wrestling. But as someone who's seen this fairly, this made no sense. This was a rush job when it came to Stephanie. Somebody said that Julia's hurt, and Stephanie probably was going to challenge Julia at Stand and Deliver, and maybe there they would have done that, and then it would have been built after that. They said, okay, we got to change it because Julia's hurt. Just give it to her now. Let her have one shot at keeping both titles at the same time and then strip it from her. And I'm like, what the blue fuck is this? It's stupid. Now, let's move on to the family, the D'Angelo family, who's looking at Deep Slate. And I got my feelings about Deep Slate. They just spoke about everyone who's on Deep Slate. Dark Slate, not Deep Slate. Dark Slate. I think I should call it Deep Slate because it sucks. We're going to dive deep in. We're going balls deep into explaining how Dark State, and I call it Deep Slate, Dark State is stupid. I'm saying it now. It's fucking stupid. It's stupid. Dark State is stupid. I'll explain in a minute. But the D'Angelo family is trying to explain to the Don, because we got Crucifino, we got Crucifino. We did get, well, when it comes to Rizzo, I wish she didn't have to have that accent. It just doesn't feel right for her. I kind of wish she had a regular accent and would just talk normally. She's trying to be more Italiano, but still it just doesn't fit. So they both explain what's going on. And then it came to Stax. And you can see Stax is just fucking annoyed about this. And he's still angry. And he does explain what's going on with the one guy that seems to be the leader of them, because he can always convince everybody to do it. I don't remember the names. Don't ask me. I don't know. Other than Lennox. But the point is that all 4 of these guys are badasses. All 4 of these guys got something that can really be something. And now they're going to be going up against him. And when it comes to the Don, when it comes to Stax, you can see Stax is not happy. He wants to break their faces. And the Don is telling him, calm down, relax. I know you want to get your hands around them, but we got to do this right. Remember, you tried that plan. The plan you wanted, it didn't work. Now I got to do this. Trust me. That's what the Don is telling Stax. And Stax is giving that look. You know that look, guys. You know that look. You know that look like, yeah, Don, I trust you, but as far as I can throw you, because I feel like this is going to fail. And I'm getting sick of it. I'm sick of this happening. I'm sick that it's failing. I want something done. But I'm not going to say it openly yet, because I haven't reached the point where I'm ready to snap. That's the look we get from Stax. And he walks away. That's the look you get. Am I enjoying the story that Stax is possibly going to break away from the Don? Yes, this is time. Stax has been developed enough that he looks like he can handle himself. Do I believe Stax is going to build his own family? There's a very strong chance that Stax is going to go up against the D'Angelo family with his own boys. That's what it feels like. That's what it looks like they may be going. And I'm actually fond of this. When you look at the D'Angelo family, when it went up against Legado del Fantasma, it was one of the greatest stories, but it was pretty good. So now you're going to see someone break away from the D'Angelo family, work on his own, and eventually get his own family where he's going to come back. And they're going to be knocking heads. It's eventually going to happen. So I'm hoping they will build it correctly. But this is still a question. What did I feel? And I did not forget about what happened with Jordan Grace and Miss Parker. Let me give it to you like this. This could have still been a tournament. It still goes exactly what I said. When it came to Stephanie Vakir, she did not need to be a double champion. They could have done a tournament, and you could have still had Miss Parker dealing with Jordan Grace. And seeing that they broke into a fight while they were in the ring, facing against Ava, facing against Steph. And I just feel like they could have actually just done a tournament. They could have still had the same conflict. You could still say the same thing when it came to how Miss Parker had her shot to try and win the title, but Stephanie survived because Jordan Grace got in the way. To be honest, I don't think Miss Parker stood a chance, but that doesn't mean I don't like Miss Parker. But still, they could have still done it. I had to say that. Now, Trick Willie will be the second to the last thing we'll talk about. Trick Willie, Devon Evans, and Ubafemi. Let me give it to you like that. Well, I know I should say this, but I'm going to say that. When you hear Carmelo Hayes' name brought up, that now that Trick Willie is acting like Carmelo did, you know people are like, all right, they've gone full circle with Trick Williams because in a sense, he is acting like Carmelo Hayes. There ain't no lie about it. The only difference is when it comes down to it, there is no understudy. In other words, Devon Evans is not his partner. Devon Evans was not the guy who was a hype man. Devon Evans is not the guy who legitimately had to work his ass off to get somewhere. He isn't. The difference between Devon Evans and Trick Williams is that when Devon came in, everybody was going crazy over Devon. Who did Devon go up against? He went up against Randy Orton. He's gone up against most of the people that have been in most of the people that have been on the main roster of NXT and a few that have been on the main roster. And he's had more options than Trick Williams did. There is no lie about it. Trick Williams was brought in working with Carmelo Hayes as his hype man. There is a big difference between Trick and Devon Evans. Now, do I believe Devon has grown a bit since the feud with Ethan Page? Hell yeah, he has. He now has developed part of a character. He's not the OG. He's not the Mr. Bouncy anymore. He is somebody who had to struggle, had a broken jaw, and had to prove to everyone that he can get the job done. Not just in the ring, but actually carrying a character and can talk. And now, does he talk great? No. Does he have a character? Yes. Does he have personality? Yes. Is it great? No, but at least it's there. Trick has always had the gift of gab. Devon has not. Trick has had the look. Devon, being as young as he is, he hasn't developed his look yet. Trick had to prove from the ground up, legitimately, that he can actually be there. And Devon did not need to. The only thing he did was high-flying work. Trick has not done that. So when you look at and compare Trick Williams to Devon, Trick had to struggle way more than Devon did. There's no lie about that. But when people heard him bring up Mello, that's when it was on. That's when I can say, now this is full circle for Trick Williams. Are they going to develop him to a certain extent like Carmelo Hayes? And to be honest, do I believe he's a better character than Carmelo Hayes? Yes, I do. Doesn't mean Carmelo isn't a good wrestler and can't carry a character or anything. I just believe because he had to struggle and he was under Carmelo, that he's more developed than Carmelo. That's me. So when Obafemi came in and told Devon, you think you can just drop me that easy? Try and drop me now. The story now is that Carmelo is not there, but in spirit to Trick Williams. Devon Evans has his Ethan Page by his side because that is how Ethan Page was developed, with a little bit of Devon Evans, because he developed him as much as Devon Evans developed a little bit of Ethan Page, because he didn't need that storyline after he was beat by Trick Williams himself and Uwe Femi. So I see and understand the situation here. But to put Devon Evans in a triple threat when he didn't earn it, and they just throw this is forced. I'm sorry. You could have done this over the next 3 weeks. You could have added him in the last week if they developed a Devon Evans causing nothing but havoc between Trick and Uwe Femi. No. Ava says, I've seen this before. I'm getting it done now. Ava's making it clear that we're going to have Devon Evans, Trick, and Uwe Femi. And then, before the show is over, she says, with her staff, that I'm sick of Dark State. I'm going to make them go up against somebody and stand and deliver. And it's going to be Devon Evans, Uwe Femi, and Trick Williams? Now, the only reason I think this is maybe due to the fact that maybe Devon Evans a part of Deep State, or it's Trick Williams as a part of Deep State. That's the only reason would do that. But then it doesn't make any sense either, because then it feels stupid. Not because Trick got his ass beaten up and Devon Evans got his ass beat up, because Deep State, no, not Deep State, Dark State sucks. Simply, Dark State sucks. They are a mix between the Nexus and the Shield. I said it was the Shield first, but it feels like the Nexus and Shield kind of mixed together. The way that they're trying to book them. But it's more the Shield. Like, here's the Nexus, here's the Shield. You have a little taste of the Nexus, but it's all Shield. It's the same thing. And in this situation, we've seen at least one or two of these guys on NXT. On normal TV, at least one or two of them. And I feel like if none of them were seen at all, none of them, or if they've been wronged so heavily, then maybe I could buy Dark State. But I'm buying none of it. None of this feels right. None of this feels like it makes any sense. None of it. It feels forced and rushed. And final thing, hang on a minute. I had about 2 more minutes left on this video because it goes up to 30 minutes, this camera, and I didn't want to get cut off. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of this. Ricky wins the North American Championship. I think I'm going to title this video, This is Forced, and I'm ranting about it. Because you decided Ricky Starks, who is known in NWA as the NWA Television Champion, he made that title mean something to me personally. That was back in 2017 or 2018. 17 or 18. I can't remember when. Then he goes to AEW. He shows, and I knew before anyone else, before just Alex or JD, how good Ricky was. I knew. And I'm sure that JD has seen Ricky Starks more than a few times, but he wasn't sure he was probably that good. I knew he was that good. I knew he was going to get somewhere, and he's gone and made himself in AEW until they didn't want to do anything with him. And now, you have done exactly what you did with Stephanie Vakir and the now out Julia. You decided to bring somebody in and don't do any development on them, because Ricky Starks hasn't been barely even there a month. And then you decide to clearly let him have a title. And I was right about when it came to Ethan Page. I said it myself. The feud that he was going to have, it was going to be with Ethan Page. But you decided, instead of developing him, instead of giving him time to develop himself before he would get any title, you decided to throw the North American Championship on him. And yes, you did get Ethan Page whoop that ass afterward. Yes. But do I agree with that? No. Why couldn't you develop this to make Shawn Spears deserved better to have to job his ass off when he just got the damn title, and you don't even give him a PLE to lose it. You couldn't even let Ricky Saints wait a couple of weeks before he would actually get a shot at that title. No, you couldn't let Ricky Saints have issues in the back with Ethan Page, and then eventually when there's supposed to be a match, there isn't no match because Ethan Page fights him and prevents him from really showing that he can do anything against him. And then do something and stand and deliver where he does win the title, which I don't agree with him getting it then Ethan Page would have a moment with the North American champion. No, you throw it on this channel right now. You throw it on the CW. You throw it on there. And it makes my scalp itch, honestly, to see that I was right. I'm telling you now, if anyone says the booking is great, explain what they've been doing here. None of this makes any sense that they're rushing before Stand and Deliver. You could have made a special match with Shawn Spears and Ricky Saints at Stand and Deliver. You could have built a tournament around, yes, it would have been 45, maybe 46 days, but you would have had 46 days to build a tournament for the women, and you could have still had the same storylines that are going on now, but at least it would have been a tournament to show more than what few women you have that are normally on TV. You could have had some of the people in Performance Center who has not had a chance to be seen yet, to be seen in this tournament. No. I'm confused why anybody thinks this is right. And hearing that I heard just Alex saying that NXT is going to blow up. If this is how it's going to blow up, where people who should be booked better are being rushed and they agree with it and literally nothing happens afterwards, that they didn't get any real great development, they didn't get any good storylines, they didn't get any good matches, but they're there now. Doesn't that sound like something familiar? Doesn't it sound like AEW? Doesn't it sound like AEW to you? That the same thing that was spoken about AEW years ago, they're doing right here. And Alex is loving it. And I'm sure JD may not have too much problem until it really gets on his nerves. And then he's going to open up his mouth and say this is wrong. Like he's already seeing it now on the main roster, which I said what was going on in the main roster would eventually happen, that this would be more important than actual storylines, that this would be more important to Ari Emanuel than actually booking a show. Ari is a businessman. He is not like Vince, who was originally a wrestling promoter who wanted to become a businessman, which he did become one. But he was still, when it was needed, at his core, even if he is a nasty-ass motherfucker, Vince McMahon, he was a wrestling promoter. Ari doesn't care about the wrestling business. He said it himself. I don't really care much about wrestling. I respected Vince McMahon and admired him. He didn't care about wrestling. So now, when you see that, as you can see now in NXT, I'm not saying that, and I'm saying it again, he wasn't great. Shawn Michaels, HBK, was not a great booker. I'm not telling he was. But at least he took a little bit of what he knew during the 90s of Golden Age wrestling. He threw it into the show when he was allowed to finally do it the way he wanted. And also took a little bit of the time when he was working with DX, when he was working with his best friend who he loves his family, Paul Levesque, and threw that in there. And then when he was working NXT UK, he took a little bit of that and threw that in there along with his own thoughts. That was NXT 2.5. It wasn't perfect. It still had some really stupid stuff in it, but you could tell that he was making sure people were booked correctly. This is not correct booking. This is bullshit. And what's going to happen after Stand and Deliver? That's going to be the biggest question. Will most of the roster go away and head to the main roster? And will they stay booked? Will they be booked? Or will they sit in the back and do nothing because of how they book right now in the main roster? The main roster doesn't look that much different. most people are being booked funny. But this is just me. And I'm going to see if I can do myself a Gump report tomorrow. And it's going to be on Chris Bay, because he did do a video with Chris Ambly. And maybe I might do in that same video talking about what I feel about Naomi Trinity. I'm going to see if I can do that tomorrow. Peace.